Hello fam, it's your boy Kaishi. Welcome to another episode of First Impressions, where I, your friendly neighborhood degenerate, takes a look at the recently released episodes of the latest and greatest anime. Today, it's Tower of God episode 10, and boy, oh boy, what an episode. We finally got some Rachel and Bomb closure, and to be quite honest, it was not something I was expecting. I thought she left him and was avoiding him for some generic ass reason, like it was for his own safety or someone powerful was making her do something shady and she didn't want him involved in it. But it turns out that she left him because she was tired of taking care of such a weakling, and she was avoiding him because she was ashamed of it.
私、あなたを捨てたの。どうしても星が見たくて。だから、何も知らない弱いあなたが邪魔だったの。それでもしつこく追ってくるあなたが鬱陶しかったの。
What? I certainly couldn't imagine that there would be a realistic and grounded reason like that behind her actions that would paint her as a morally gray human rather than a one-note character. See, these are the little things that make this anime stand out. And not just that, every single character is written like that. Take Serena for example. She realizes that she isn't strong enough to climb the tower any further, and instead of promising Mina-san that she will try her best to get good, with everyone cheering her on and offering their help because friendship or whatever, she leaves. Her whole monologue at the end of the last episode was her coming to that realization after seeing her friend die because he was too weak to climb the tower and in his desperation became too vulnerable and got played.
世の中って不公平よね。ほう。私たちが奪われるときは知らんぷりして、奪おうとした途端、邪魔してきて。命がけで立ち向かったことなんか一度もない。いつも奪われてから後悔すんの。結果がどうあれ、一度でも立ち向かってたらどうなってたのかな。勝ち目のない人生だったかもしれないけど、逃げた先にも道は続いてくのよ。命あってこそじゃない。
Not gonna lie, what she said about not being good enough for anything hit a bit too close to home. And her farewell to Shibisu. Yeah, that should hurt fam. I was shipping these two so hard, and I know I'm not the only one. They make such a good ship. They're both funny, likable, and real. I really love the way they bounce off each other, but unfortunately some things are just not meant to be, just like in real life. And this grounded realism is what makes me come back every week. The anime does such a good job at making this fantastical world as real as possible, with important details told as throwaway lines or just put in the background, like in this shot of Ho's funeral. For the first time, from the number of graves alone, we get the idea of how hard it is to climb the tower and the risk that all the participants carry as they strive to make their dream a reality. Dozens of people have lost their lives on this floor only, and the world around them just doesn't give a shit. Just like that knight guy with the flaming sword, he died off screen and we only find out about him in a throwaway line. This really sells the sense of apathy that the tower has for its less fortunate inhabitants. I mean, I don't even remember his name, but that may be because there are like 3 names for every character. Just when I thought that it couldn't get any worse than Demon Slayer, after it took me a year to learn all the character names, along comes Tower of God with its punk-ass naming scheme. Is he Bomb or Yoru? Well, actually Bomb means knight in Korean, so when you translate it in Japanese, it becomes Yoru, which means the same thing, and it's done so that some of the dialogues will make more sense. Oh, so why am I reading Bomb in the subtitles when they are clearly saying Yoru? Look man, I'm neither Japanese nor Korean, and at the end of the day, I would have to look it up to know the context of the name, whichever one it is. What kind of wacky tobacco were they smoking? Just write what they're saying in the goddamn subtitles. Is it too much to ask? And speaking of Demon Slayer, I still only know like half of the names, so yeah, you're not the only one. Also, my next video is gonna be top 10 Demon Slayer moments, so hit that subscribe button if you love Demon Slayer and don't want to miss that. Did you do it? good. Now let's talk about Khun. If you've seen any of my previous Tower of God videos, you'll know that Khun is by far my favorite character in the series. He's hot as hell, smart as hell, morally ambiguous, and on top of that, a real bro. From the past couple of episodes, he's been planning and plotting to keep his friends in the race, especially Bomb. He doesn't care about anyone else. He's even apathetic towards Ho's death, which came, although indirectly, as a result of his actions. He even shows up at the guy's funeral with no remorse whatsoever. I mean, he says it out loud that he doesn't care.
俺の作戦は本当に完璧だった。何にも変わってねえじゃねえか、俺は。
Now, I'm even more interested in his backstory. Just what kind of a fucked up childhood did you have to become like this? And the best thing is, he keeps on doing it. When he sees that Rachel has come back to Bomb and that Bomb has no incentive to continue climbing the tower, he immediately starts working on a plan to keep him here. Like I said, just like real people in the world, the characters in Tower of God only act in self-interest, which inherently isn't a bad thing. It's only human. We do it all the time. Now, bear in mind that I'm not talking about selfishness. Self-interest and selfishness are two completely different things. Selfishness means being exclusively concerned only about oneself. Selfish people do not have any concern or regard for the well-being of others. Whereas self-interest doesn't exclude caring for other people. As human beings, self-interest is essential for our happiness and success. It enables us to act in a manner which is beneficial to us and our family. Khun, unlike any generic shonen character, does not let Bomb go and live a happy, simple life in the woods with the girl he loves out of some misplaced sense of selflessness and concern for his one true friend. Instead, he immediately takes action to keep him in the race, which he knows is a better option for both him as well as Bomb. And for that, he would do anything, whether it be plotting a grand scheme with Lero's help or doing bad acting in front of his group of friends to convince them to side with Bomb. On a side note, that scene was actually kind of cute. That's why I love Khun. And when Bomb tells him that he still wants to climb the tower, Khun agrees to help him by any means necessary.
任せろ。必ず塔の頂上に連れてってやる。俺らしく卑怯で悪どい手を使って。
Also, speaking of Bomb, when he finally got together with Rachel, it seemed he didn't have any other reason to climb the tower. Simp! But it turns out that now that Rachel can't walk, he wants to take her to the top of the tower. Simp! And now we have a new incentive for our protagonist, and he's not all talk only. When he learns that Rachel would not be allowed to climb the tower anymore because of her injury, he immediately demands to see the floor administrator. Now this was a surprise for me. This guy is becoming more and more ballsy every episode, and I love it, even though he's still doing all this for Rachel. A lot of people are saying that Rachel came back to Bomb only because she can't walk anymore and can't do anything else like climbing the tower, and the only person who will accept her is Bomb. But I felt a genuine emotional response from her. I think she truly does regret what she's done, even though she's been a real bitch all this time. And the scene does a really good job of capturing that emotion, something that's really hard to get right in animation.
だからあなたも捨てていいんだよ。
This episode also makes me feel like we're nearing the start of the actual plot of the anime. Yes, you heard me right, fam. I don't believe that the actual plot of the anime has kicked in yet. Mostly because we haven't had a real driving conflict yet. Everything we've seen so far has been the prologue. Think Berserk, for example. Only when Griffith takes up on the God Hand's offer and becomes the fifth angel that the real conflict that would drive the narrative forward begins. Everything up until that point was sort of like a prologue of the story. Same is true for Tower of God, and I really want to see how it plays out, especially what the driving narrative is going to be. On the subplot side of things, we see that the interests of the residents of the Inner Tower and that of the royal families do not align, as the latter sent a spy to keep an eye on things. And it turns out that the test director Han Sung is as OP as he is fabulous. Or perhaps that creature was actually the administrator of the second floor? I'm not sure at this point. Also, the score in this scene was amazing. It was hauntingly beautiful and fit the situation perfectly. This is the Kevin Penkin that we know and love. I'm looking forward to hearing more outstanding masterpieces like this from him in the future.
テストは終わりました。
So I've been reading just a little bit about the nature of the tower itself, and it turns out that I was an idiot for thinking that it was a physical building somewhere in the world, when in reality it is the world. All the different floors are something like different dimensions rather than actual floors of a building. I think I understand a little more about the world now. I didn't want to read up on that because I'm actively trying to avoid any spoilers, which is an ordeal that is proving to be a lot more difficult than I initially thought. And finally, we have a merchandise that I can get behind. Small Rock plushie. Somebody make that. I'll buy your entire stock. In the end, this is my favorite episode of the anime yet. I know I've said it before, but what can I do when the episodes keep getting more and more awesome and jam-packed with content? Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think about this episode. Check out my videos on previous episodes as well as my initial review of Tower of God. Like the video to avoid 1,000 years of bad luck or something, and subscribe for more awesome videos like this one. This has been your friendly neighborhood degenerate, and I'll see you all in the next one.